Hi folks, the Filipina P here, and it's time once again for your favorite segment, Mailbag Friday, where I read your emails and try to figure out where your relationship went off the rails. Today we have a man who believes one of his body parts doesn't quite measure up. A guy who just found out that the Filipina he loves wasn't always a woman. And a man who realizes that the girl of his dreams is his girlfriend's little sister. This is gonna be wild, so buckle up and get ready to hear about some of the crazy stuff going on in the Philippines. So our first email is from Jarvis in Warrnambool. Warrnambool? I don't know where that is, but it's apparently in Australia. So Jarvis says, Hey P, I've been watching your channel for years and I've pretty much followed your advice when it comes to finding a good Filipina. The only thing I haven't done was to go to the Philippines in person yet because I want to get to know someone before I go on holiday there. I'm very shy and I don't want to just wander around hoping to meet someone. Okay, I can understand that. Not every guy is cut out to be the hunter. And if you're coming from a Western country where it's becoming risky to approach a woman, I get why you'd want to meet online first. So, no worries. So I poked around some of the dating sites and I found a Filipina I'm really drawn to. I'll spare you the details, but she's everything I wanted and more. And for some reason, she thinks the same about me. But now here comes the problem. Uh-oh. We started off slow, but recently we've been doing a lot of video calls and things have heated up. She hinted that she wants to see my body and she's willing to show me hers. I'm excited by the thought of seeing hers, but I'm terrified of her seeing what I've got to offer. Like I said, I've seen your videos, and I watched the one about how Filipinos think all Western guys have big bananas. They tease each other about having boyfriends that'll make him walk funny the next day, so it's something they expect. All I hear about is how small Filipinos are and how much bigger I'm supposed to be. But the truth is, I'm not. I'm way outside the bell curve, on the small side. And because I'm kinda tall, my old fella looks even smaller. I reckon when she sees what I've got under the hood, she's gonna be looking for a new ride. So should I just come out and tell her first, or let her find out naturally? This is really hanging over my head like a dark cloud, and I feel like I'm living a lie until I clear the air. I'm dreading her reaction, but I know I can't put it off forever. Thanks for all your help, and keep making those amazing videos. Jarvis. Okay, my friend, I'm really sorry to hear about the mental torture you're going through. And even though I have body parts myself that aren't the preferred size, I don't pretend to know what it feels like to be a man who questions the size of his manhood. Now let me start by saying that despite the subject, I'm gonna refrain from making too many stupid jokes. Oh, I want to. I really do. But I'm touched that you trusted me with your situation, so I'm gonna try to be professional for as long as I can. Oh, who are we kidding? This topic is a target-rich environment that's tailor-made for me and my innuendo factory. And we both know I can't just let it slide. I'm not too proud to go after the low-hanging fruit, even when it's barely hanging at all. But I'm definitely gonna help you figure the situation out. So you're afraid to show her the size of the engine under the hood. Can I assume that means you have a hood? We're not used to men being uncircumcised, but it's certainly not a deal breaker. In a lot of my videos, you'll hear Filipinos talking about how they prefer the circumcised look because it's all they know. But the truth is, most of us can't even tell the difference, and some of us have never even seen one. But as far as size, what are we talking about? Is it a grower, not a shower? Like George Costanza's shrinking turtle?
Oh my God, I'm really sorry.
I was in the pool!
Or maybe it's not about variable sizes. Maybe it's just a teeny weeny. In any case, I can imagine you're not anxious to just pop it out there. But let me tell you how most of us Filipinas feel about the subject of a man's size. It's true that almost every Filipino has heard about how big foreign men are, but it's not something we necessarily get excited about. Just as often, it's a cause of concern and even fear. Women are built to accommodate all sizes, but that doesn't always mean that bigger is better. There are plenty of ways to please a woman, And Filipino men could use a lesson from you. Besides, we're too worried about the ways we don't measure up because we feel like we're competing with your exes who probably had big boobs and were orally talented in ways that Filipinas are not. But you know what really turns a woman on? Confidence. Not to the point where you're bragging all the time, but when you present yourself as someone worth dating. And that includes the little man downstairs. So you ask what you should do about your situation. And here's my advice. There's no sense in trying to hide it, so just pretend to embrace it. Act like you're not even aware of your shortcomings, and I almost guarantee that it won't be a big deal. She might even be relieved. In fact, I've never heard a Filipina say she couldn't date a guy because his winky was too dinky. That's just not a priority. Now, I would not do anything on a webcam. I've heard too many stories about sextortion, where a woman gets a guy to do stuff on camera and then blackmails him by threatening to send a copy of his shenanigans to all his friends and family. But once you go to see her in person, just act confident and relaxed, and things will work out just fine. It's not a big deal, literally. Let me know what happens, Jarvis. So our next email is from Dawn in Manila. Dawn says, "Good morning, Miss P. How are you? I have a question I hope you can give me some feedback on. I've been living in the Philippines for over a year now, and I've been dating a Filipina online for a couple months. She lives on a different island, but we talk every day, and she's done video tours of her house to show me where she lives, in a house with her mother and brother. She's come and stayed with me for a few weekends at my place, and every time she's been here, we've had an amazing time. She's beautiful, kind, caring, and she makes me feel very special. There's a slight age gap, with me being 55 and her being 37, but it's not an issue for either one of us. I can see the relationship developing into something more serious, and she wants me to live with her. She says she's not interested in talking with any other men now that she's found me. She told me she's never been married, never had any kids, and doesn't want to be married or have children, which is kind of unusual for a Filipina, but fine with me. And everything would probably have been perfect if I just hadn't found out what I found out. She never offered to show me any of her social media accounts, so one day I happened to search for her on Facebook, and I found a profile that looked like it was set up to appeal to single guys, as it was filled with lots of sexy photos of her in lingerie. I wasn't bothered by it because the profile was inactive, but I noticed that a while back, she had replied to someone's comment using a different Facebook account and a completely different name. I searched that profile too, going through every single post, some of which went back 15 years. And judging from old photos from friends and family, I think the woman I'm in love with has undergone a complete sex change from male to female, including facial and jaw surgery. It looks like she might have also had her Adam's apple shaved. Up until then, I would never have guessed that she was once a man, and I'm stunned that I couldn't tell at all, even though we've been intimate many times. Now I'm really conflicted and wondering what to do. I'm not sure how I feel about it, and the fact that she hid it from me makes me wonder what else I don't know. Of course, I still love her, but what happens now? Should I tell her I was snooping around her profiles and now I know she was born a male? Or should I just leave it be and carry on as if nothing changed? Thank you in advance, and thanks for posting awesome videos about what to expect in the Philippines. All the best, Dawn." Wow, just when I think I've heard it all, you guys continue to surprise me. Okay, Dawn, let's see if we can unpack this. So what bothers you the most? The lie of omission because she didn't tell you about it? Or maybe because every time you look at her, part of you now sees her as the man she used to be, which turns you off. I can't get inside your head, so you'll have to weigh the issues for yourself. Since I wasn't the one to do the investigating, are you sure you came to the right conclusion that the woman you're dating was once a man? Just in case you're wrong, I'd give her the chance to give you her side of the story, in which case you should bring the matter up and see what she has to say. Sometimes in the Philippines, it's really not what it looks like. Maybe there's an innocent explanation and she was never hiding anything at all. Either way, I can tell you really want to know the truth, so you're gonna have to confess to the snooping, which is no big deal. You just saw things that were public anyway. The real question is, what are you gonna do with the truth? Let's say she admits to having a sex change years ago, but she didn't feel like it was necessary to dredge up the past because she put that part of her life behind her. What will you do? Now, I'm not here to tell you that everyone's the same on the inside, and I'm not trying to shame you into accepting someone you don't want. Just like I'm not here to tell you to get out while you can and run the other way. You have to decide how you feel about it and what you can live with. But to answer the question in your email, yes, I would bring the subject up. If you don't, it'll eat you alive. Thanks for writing, Dawn, and I wish you the best of luck. And now for the final email of the day, which is from Andrew in Tagbilaran. Andrew writes, Dear P, I'm in a really big mess and I kinda hate myself for it. So I need your advice to avoid an even bigger problem. Uh-oh. I know this kind of thing happens in the US and sometimes it's not an issue. But maybe things are different here. And I want to know what I'm getting myself into. Anyway, let me tell you the backstory. So I'm a little younger than your average viewer. I'm in my late 30s and I can work remotely, which means I can live in the Philippines and still generate an income. I spent about a year traveling around the country, and I finally settled on the island of Bohol, at least for the foreseeable future. I'm not in any hurry whatsoever to get married, and I'm really honest about that. So I met this woman named Dolores, kind of by accident, and I ended up taking her to dinner a couple times and walking around the plaza. She was real cute, but once I got to know her, I could tell it wasn't gonna go anywhere. She didn't get my jokes, and she always looked kinda nervous. I went out with Dolores 3.5 times, and we never had sex. The last time I saw her, she invited me over to dinner at her family's house, and I probably should have said no, but I didn't have anything else to do, and a home-cooked meal sounded pretty good at that time. But as soon as I walked in, I got introduced to her slightly younger sister, Liwayway. She was even cuter, and the easy way she smiled lit up the room. There was this instant chemistry, and I'm pretty sure she felt it too. And now you see the position I'm in. I'm not gonna continue dating someone I don't want to date, but I want to make sure I'm not gonna get my head chopped off by her dad if I try to date his other daughter. So for right now, I'm not doing anything until I hear from you. I don't want to hang around Dolores just to get to her sister, and the more I drag things out, the messier it gets. I know you're gonna tell me to just leave that whole family alone, but I'm afraid I can't do that. I really want to get to know Liwayway, but I don't want to scare her away, and that's where I need your help. I found out where she works, and I decided I'm gonna contact her. I just want you to tell me what's the best way not to look like a creep after dating her sister. P, I'm gonna take your advice, whatever it is, so make it good. Andrew. Well, I can tell you're in a real hurry, Andrew, so I made sure to include your email in today's video. You're actually getting a response within 24 hours. Now, you thought I'd tell you to walk away from that whole clan, but that's not necessarily so. If you just want to go out with her because she's cute, then there's plenty of other Filipinos to choose from, so why rock the family's boat? But if you think she's a potential life changer, then I agree. Go for it. And here's where I can help you because I can tell you exactly what's gonna happen when you contact Liwayway. It's gonna sound really harsh, but if you want the real truth about the inner workings of a Filipino family, here it is. If the family is considered wealthy, they might get offended by you dating both daughters because it'd be seen as dishonorable and lower class. The girl's parents would see to it that your relationship was ended. But if the family is poor, the parents will probably support your relationship with Liwayway and they'll actively encourage her to date you. The older sister just has to shut up and take it, for the good of the family. But there's always gonna be a bitter taste toward the little sister that poached her foreigner. Now, unless you can tell what the family's finances look like, there's only one way to find out whether you can date Liwayway. Go ahead and ask her. Dolores is gonna feel a little sting of humiliation and envy, but you've already decided what you're gonna do, so that's all done and dusted. My only hope is that you're both happy and you have an amazing story to tell your kids. If you don't get your head chopped off first. Well, that's it for this episode, and I'll be back next week with something new. If you want to talk to me before then, you can always find me on my Patreon page where we meet up to talk about expat life in the Philippines. Till then, folks. If you think about it, I'm kind of like your own personal genie. Every week, I fulfill 2 of your wishes when I bring you magical content about life and culture in the Philippines and explain the differences between East and West. If you appreciate my efforts, all I ask is you give a thumbs up on this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell so you can see what I've conjured up next. And if you're really feeling like a generous master, please visit my Patreon page for extra content and exclusive videos and features. And now for that 3rd wish, you have only to ask, and it's my pleasure to make it come true. What did you wish for? Master! I don't think I can do that, and Mrs. Master would not be happy about it.